Hello, and welcome back to my series on building a square drop trailer. In the last video, we were able to get the plumbing roughed in and the electrical roughed in. And in this video, I plan on getting the camper insulated. But before I can do that, I'm going to have to finish some of the interior first. And that starts with cleaning the floor in preparation of getting the large foam sheets down for the flooring insulation. And this has to be done before reinstalling the front wall of the camper. I'll be insulating the floor of the trailer with 1/2 inch thick extruded foam. This foam is a little bit different than expanded foam. Expanded foam has air bubbles in it. It actually holds on to moisture, where the extruded foam is a solid piece of foam. It's very easy to cut. You just need a straight edge and a utility knife. And here I'm making the proper cuts to go around the plumbing and the electrical that runs through the floor of my trailer. I chose to go with the 1/2 inch thick foam for the floor for a couple different reasons. First one is because it's readily available at pretty much any big box store. And the second is for the R3 insulating value. This value will be plenty, especially when you consider the flooring will be on top of the foam and there will be a foam mattress on top of the flooring. The floor of this camper has the same dimensions as a queen size mattress. It requires purchasing 2 sheets of this foam in order to fill it in. And this probably isn't a necessary step, but I did tape the seams together. And now that the large sheets of foam are in, I can weld in the front studs on the trailer. To protect the foam from the hot metal, I'm just going to lift them up and put these boxes underneath. And I'll use this steel plate to protect the ACM panel from the welding as well. Now it's just a matter of reinstalling the studs in the exact location and then welding them into place. And then repeating the same process on the passenger side. After dropping the foam back down and touching up the paint on the metal studs, I was able to start working on building the interior panel on the front of the trailer. After cutting the thin piece of plywood to shape, I was able to spray glue on the same carpet that I used on the cabinet build in the previous video. And this is the simple process of spraying the adhesive on both the carpet and the wood, letting them pack up a bit, pressing them together, flipping it over, and then removing the excess amount of carpet. And this panel will get mounted the same way the rest of them have been. I'll be using the VHB tape. I apply it to a clean metal surface, and then I carry the panel over to install it. After this panel is installed, the only other panel that needs to be done is the headliner that's right above this one. For that panel to be installed, I'll have to crawl around on the inside of the trailer, and I don't want to dent up the new foam I just installed. So I'm going to work on installing the flooring next. I decided to go with a waterproof laminate flooring. For the size of my trailer, I had to purchase 2 boxes, but keep in mind that each brand of flooring will have a different square foot amount per box. You might have to buy 3 boxes depending on which brand you get. I wanted to end on a full piece of flooring, so I had to rip down the first piece before installing it around the plumbing and the electrical. This is a floating floor that pretty much clicks together. There's an adhesive on all the mating surfaces, so it does kind of glue together after a while. It's not a difficult job to install, it's just a tedious one of doing the same thing over and over again. And to make it a little more enjoyable, a friend stopped over to help. And between the two of us working, we were able to knock this project out in no time at all. Thanks for helping! And now I can get started on the last interior panel before we get to insulating the outside of the trailer. After the plywood was cut to shape, I glued on the same headliner material that I used in the previous video. And then sitting on the new floor, I was able to install this panel the same way we've installed every other panel so far. And now the exterior is finally ready for insulation. The foam I'm using on the exterior of the trailer was a little bit harder to source. It's 3/4 inches thick, which is the same as the metal studs. This foam is not carried at most of the big box stores around me. Home Depot and Menards don't have this foam in stock, so I had to drive to Lowe's. It cuts just as easy as any other extruded foam. Here I'm using a T-square as a straight edge and a razor blade to get a straight line. This first piece had to be cut several times in order to get the right shape to fit. To give the trailer a little more strength, the foam will be glued both to the interior and the exterior panels of the trailer. And for that, I'll be using a 3M78 spray adhesive. This glue is specifically designed for polystyrene. and it's used just like any other contact adhesive. Spray each surface, let them tack up, and then join them together. If you join them together when the glue is still wet, you'll get a temporary bond. If you wait for the glue to get really tacky and dry, it'll become a permanent bond. A good analogy for the permanent bond would be similar to sticking two pieces of duct tape together. In order to separate them, you'll have to destroy the tape. I continued the process of cutting each sheet of foam and then gluing them into place until I got to the side of the trailer where the wires are. And these sheets require a little bit extra work. You have to carve out the back side of them. In order to get an idea where you have to carve out, it's easiest just to put the foam into place, press it where the wires are, and that'll leave a little bit of an indent on the piece of foam so you know where to carve. I traced the indent with a marker so it's a little bit easier to see, and then I used a nylon abrasive wheel on my drill to help carve it out. I made quick work of it, but it was also a messy job. I'm sure there are better or cleaner ways of doing this. This is just what I came up with, and it seemed to work pretty well. And here you can see the importance of gluing those wires down in the previous video. It allows these foam sheets with the carved out backs to go right into place. And then I repeated the process of cutting and gluing each foam sheet on the driver's side of the trailer. And the passenger side is more of the same. There are two metal plates at the top of this wall. These plates have holes that are drilled and tapped, and this is where the future roof rack will be mounted to. I made sure there is no foam insulation behind these holes to allow room for the mounting bolts. After the passenger side is done, I moved on to the roof. The roof by far took the longest to do. It required the most cuts and the most carving of the backside of each piece. What I ended up doing is I went through and cut each piece, carved out the backside, put them in place to make sure they fit, and then I removed each and every piece, and then used the spray adhesive to permanently mount them, and that's what you're seeing here. We have one can of the spray adhesive to mount all the foam panels to the trailer, and it'll probably take another can when I glue the foam to the exterior siding. The wire you're seeing here will come up through a gland on the finished roof and will power all the lights on the roof rack. And then I raised the trailer up to finish the last wall underneath the kitchen galley, and when I was cutting the very last piece of foam, my wife stopped by with some mini blizzards. And after a mini break, I was able to get the last piece of foam installed. And now the trailer is finally ready for its siding. Well, just about ready. I did have one last minute change that I did. I finally decided on how to use the empty space on each side of the trailer. I decided to go with the jerry cans and a mounting system. I just welded on some brackets for the mount, and then the jerry can goes right inside. And now the trailer is ready for siding. Thanks for watching this episode, and stay tuned for the next episode, where we do just that. We work on the siding.